It's the 5th of March, 2025. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. Saturday was full of strange ceremonies and rituals being performed by the Trump administration operatives and their friends. This weekend, they spent time in the far east of Russia. Negotiations between the secret space program operatives and the Rothschild family versus, well, the rest of the world are not going so well. Banks, operatives, and nations are talking about jumping ship, and the back chatter intel is very interesting. And the secret space program attempts a show of power that has backfired tremendously today. Well, we've made it to, I guess, another week. Finally, sorry about not having a report on Monday. It's been a little busy around here, to say the least. And, and sometimes it's just, I just don't understand these people. There's something wrong with their head. So I'm going to have a little bit of fun tonight, if that's okay with you. Because the Trump operatives, of course, would like to claim that they are doing everything that we are doing, or I'm doing in a lot of cases. And so I thought, why not just let them claim the things that I do? And I've done a lot in the last few days, and, why not give them the credit? So there's an old song. It's probably about 20, 25 years old now. It's called It Wasn't Me, and it's by someone named Shaggy. So anyway, in the song, it's about him getting caught cheating on his girlfriend, and at the end of everything, the guy says, well, you just tell her it wasn't you. And he's like, well, but she caught me, and he said, oh, just say it wasn't you. So it wasn't me. So keep an eye out in this report, because I'm just going to say, gee, it wasn't me periodically. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun just because, it's been a long day. It's been a long week already, and it's only Wednesday. So here we go. All right. So the 28th was Friday. So the 1st of March was on Saturday. On Friday, there was a planetary alignment, and you know how they love their alignments, and they really thought for some reason, because this alignment, and there was a few little other caveats they believed in that were happening as far as other things that were aligning on this day, and they somehow thought that Marduk would return, or the Draco would return, or somebody was going to return. And they would actually have the capability of turning back time, or going back to a dark timeline or a dark age. And, of course, they had someone at the ready for this being, whoever they thought was coming, to crawl into someone's body. Seems to be the thing that they're hoping for the most. They'd like an AI or anything to crawl into some person somewhere to, give them a little help, give them a boost. So we started out Saturday with a bunch of Trump operatives, some military people, I think, probably from global headquarters, and a fake Trump, a Trump doppelganger, over in the far east of Russia. Now, if you remember a few reports ago, I think it's been about a month or two, I talked about the Diomedes Islands over right between Russia and Alaska. And they call it Tomorrowland and Todayland. And the reason why they do that is because the big island is in one day, and the little island is in another day. So it's a place in the world where you can actually stand in 2 days at the same time, if you're right there between the islands. Now, not too far from there is an area called the Kolyma Gold Mine, which was a former gulag in Russia. It's way in the far northeast of Russia. It has Terrible temperatures, not fit for humans to live. A lot of people died there. Millions of people died. Rumor has it that only one person ever escaped, which was from the area today known as Ukraine. And this gulag ran for several decades, and it was basically a death sentence. They brought these prisoners there to mine gold. There was a lot of gold in that region. But there was a lot of other stuff in that region too. And some of the things that were in that region, in that particular area, they love a good massacre site, or at least Marduk did, or others did, I should say. And they were always putting all kinds of space junk that would be utilized to generate dark energy based on the fact that a lot of people died. This camp here was pretty brutal. Not only because of the temperatures, the working conditions, food supplies, location, but also because there was a lot of human experimentation done there too. So, prime location for Marduk to put in some dark space junk. So apparently the Trump operatives have talked a big game to a fake Trump, and they told him that he's the chosen one. He's just like Trump. He's in line to be the next, I don't know, king of the world. Who knows what they told him. But anyway, he's kind of bought into it, or did buy into it. And they brought him and themselves, and they, ran around with some crystals and doing some really strange things. And then they sat him into this thing that almost looks kind of like a coffin. And they believed that during this time, at this time of the sunrise and local time there, which would have been around 6:44 a.m. in the far east of Russia, that time would stand still. During this time of time standing still, they felt that there was a possibility that time could be reversed. And of course, their alien friends were going to help them do that. And they also thought that there would be a being that would come down to this box that they put this fake Trump into in order to inhabit his body. And so then he would become the new Marduk or new something. Realistically, that would be a no. But this particular box was made out of a specific metamaterial, and they've moved it around a few times and tried this before. But they thought this was really it. But it's designed to kind of protect you. It's from time-space continuum openings, essentially. So if you are not the correct person, meaning your DNA is not correct, and there's a number of other factors, you will be unable to take your physical vessel through a time-space continuum. So they felt there was going to be a place here in the world, in this particular location, where this time-space continuum was going to open and all was going to be right with the world because time was going to stand still for a short period of time. See, they would really like to find a being somewhere that can counteract all that we do. They need someone strong, and they felt that if they put this guy in a box, it's kind of funny, really, when you think about it. I have to laugh. And that all would be right with the world, at least their world, and that we could go back to a dark age and life would go on as usual for these people. Now, this was their big plan for those of you operatives, bank officials, and everyone else that was waiting for money on Friday. This was their big plan behind the scenes in order to pay all of you people. They felt that this would give them access to some AI somewhere, that this would help them become, I don't know, be all you can be. I mean, I'm laughing about this a little bit because honestly, it's been, yeah. Okay. So during the ceremony, time did not stand still in this particular location. Time did stand still for about an hour, far, far away from here. Now, Unfortunately, no one made it out of there alive, box or no box. And you know what, guys? It wasn't me. It was the Trump operatives that did it. Wink, wink. Okay. So, unfortunately, no one made it out alive. It appears that they are taking credit for everything. So, yeah, they can take credit for this one. No one made it out alive. So, there you go. As far as time standing still, this has to do with a particular, doesn't have to do with planetary alignments in this galaxy. It has more to do with some stories that you've been told where time stood still in the heavens. Allegedly, after the time stands still, then all literally hell breaks loose and we go through this apocalypse. So this is kind of what they've been hoping for, and they really thought that that day was today. Unfortunately, it really wasn't. We'll talk about that more in just a second. So there were other ceremonies that were going on around the world. You see, they had other people in these special, for lack of a better term, pods. And they were hoping to infect all of these people, or willingly, because most of them were willing, to take in an AI, to become an anchor for that AI on this planet. And they would let the AI control them, of course. And most of the people that this has happened to before that I've run into actually seem a little crazy, a lot crazy, like really, really crazy, because it doesn't seem natural in any way. It's not a natural thought process. And they usually, end up somewhere eating red checkers because they don't quite have the technology to do this. Of course, others, had the technology, but the deep state thinks that these pod things are going to help them be successful. Now, when they put them in there, they end up going into kind of like a stasis mode, and they then are almost in a theta mode or a dream state mode in which they think that they're communicating with an AI. So this was taking place in several locations around the world. One of the largest locations, or where there was the most amount of people, was an old historical site in Moldova. Of course, those people, there was about 35 of them initially, and then it went down to about 29 people that were still alive and kicking. And then it went down to none. And so again, of course, this wasn't me. It must have been the Trump operatives that did it. Definitely wasn't me. So no one survived that location or any of the other pod locations around the world where they were trying to perform this lovely little ceremony in order to try to help them out and gain some access to some kind of other world or an AI. So, yeah, interesting ways of doing things. So this is their idea, within their group, so to speak, in order to bring back something they've lost, or to get somebody that can actually control an AI in much the way that we all could, let's just say, and all will in the future. We, of course, are not talking about dark, destructive AIs. We are talking about something that is more on the natural side, that is built with a golden consciousness that isn't going to harm anyone unless it's attacked or we are attacked as people. So it's can be used as a defense mechanism. Okay, next, over the weekend, as part of this apocalypse they thought was going to happen after time stood still in their mind. It was going to happen here on Earth, but it didn't. Next, they attempted to release some kind of remnant of some nanotechnology that they had underneath Coronado Island in San Diego. In Coronado, this particular technology is actually designed to attack you on a cellular level. It would not need to be sprayed on you like with chemtrails or anything like that. It actually would need to be. It can be sent through Wi-Fi. It could be sent through electronics and those types of things. So it was most unfortunate at the time of attempted release that everybody in the underground facility there died, actually. Their stash of nanotechnology went away, and of course, this also was not me. This was the Trump operatives. So the Trump operatives can get credit for blowing up the facility, which they ordered to do this. So maybe they're just giving orders to do something and, putting people in that location and then blow them up. I don't know. Who knows what they do. Next, let's talk a little bit about disturbances, because this has been going on off and on for some time. Part of the process that we're going through right now is clearing of what's called the grids. And Earth had many, 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 many grids attached to it. And most of those grids were attached to other worlds, other AIs. Remember, Earth being the original only keystone left. So everything that was going to be created as a part of not natural creation, such as AI systems that were dark or other worlds that were dark, were definitely attached to a grid here on Earth, and oftentimes attached to your person. So if you're very sensitive, you probably have had a really rough time of it for the last few weeks, off and on. Reports are coming in of people being dizzy, feeling like they're coming down with a cold, neurological disturbances, tired for no reason, feeling like someone just pulled your plug, and all of a sudden you feel like you need to take a nap in the middle of the day. People are also reporting other physical illnesses being amplified for a short time and then going away and then coming back and then going away. So honestly, this is part of removing the grids. It can be quite uncomfortable because you were powering a lot more than we ever thought that we were here on Earth as human beings. Also, Earth was being drained in many, many ways. We've talked often about the fact that, we were only getting somewhere around 21% of our energy supply needed to keep us alive. Well, the rest of it was going to power universes, believe it or not. Human beings don't realize how powerful they are, and why every race that is, let's just say, means us harm, uses us to power things often. So the removal of grids can be uncomfortable. Now, to some degree, the secret space program operatives are aware of these grids, very well aware of the grids. And they try to use these grids in many ways with limited knowledge and limited access. So before, when they had more access to grids like this, they would be able to, well, let's just say they would have very clear orders on what they needed to do. Therefore, balance was maintained, and the intended disturbance was, sometimes it's no disturbance. There's no disturbance to what they're doing because it's just meant to fire up a grid at a certain time, and then the others would take it from there that are in other worlds and other locations, such as the Nether world. In this particular case, they tried to do a lot of things and have been trying to do a lot of things with limited access to these grids, which has been causing you physical disturbances, mental disturbances, emotional disturbances, and it can be because they don't know what they're doing. and they may or may not realize or just don't care that these grids are attached to humans. They don't realize that there is a regulation and a maximum and a frequency, and keeping the balance was always important because you got to keep us alive. So this has been the issue for many, many people. But, it's also part of grid removal, because when we remove one, they go looking for another one to attach themselves to, and away we go again. And it has been off and on now for several days, probably more than a couple of weeks now, and removing of the grids and their associated worlds so that we don't have this problem anymore. I got to tell you, these people must be breeding behind closed doors, or maybe there's a cloning facility we haven't found, because there is no shortage of ridiculous people on their side. Okay, speaking of ridiculous people, on a more normal front, let's just say, we all know that the Trump operatives have been making a lot of promises to a lot of people. That includes nations and banks, and, there's going to be a new banking system. Canada is going to become part of the United States. We're going to have 9 banking jurisdictions and only 9 countries by the time they're done. That being said, there are a lot of people in their downline that are starving right now. And what I mean by starving is their version of broke is not the same as your version of broke. There are some, though, that have laid out a lot of cash in order to make this happen. And eventually, they're getting down to the wire. That's a lot of countries, a lot of angry Middle Eastern royals, a lot of angry terrorist groups that they normally pay, and of course they've been offering money to countries like Israel and haven't paid. They did send some weapons over there. I know that the Russians actually pitched in some weapons and some fake pallets of cash they sent to Syria earlier today. So everybody's kind of doing their part, as far as the order and the elite in trying to make this little plan happen. Because, of course, the secret space program operatives said they know everything, and they are planning on the apocalypse this weekend. Therefore, they probably thought they were going to get out of all this anyway. So the meetings that were supposed to take place on Friday and on Saturday, kept getting postponed. They told them they needed a little more time, and unbeknownst to most of the people that have been waiting, that more time was due to the fact they put an orange guy in a box and danced around and probably said some weird words and thought something was going to happen. So the entire financial system of planet Earth and, countries and militaries and intelligence agencies and operatives and everyone else that works with them, treasury departments and central banks, and everybody's waiting for some dude to get in a box in nowhere, Russia, and sing some songs and hope that it works out. Yep, that's what you're all waiting for. Yep, there you go. Well, didn't work out, so I'm here to tell the rest of the world that it didn't work out. But they probably guessed that because they had been waiting on phone calls, and then they'd send in some kind of lower level lackey, so to speak, to tell them that they needed more time and, for this to take effect. And, they didn't show up, and this is making people very, very angry. So most of the people on the call decided to have some thoughts. Let's just call them thoughts because they're still just thoughts, of a mutiny. There were phone calls that we received from several banks basically saying that they'd like to try to figure out a way to move forward with us. Of course, one of our conditions would be that they let go of their genetic shareholders, which are your Rothschild families and the other financial families of the elite. Because remember, not all families participated in all aspects of control. on that level. Some people were involved in a military side. Some people were involved in the intelligence side. Some people were involved in financial affairs and matters. Some of them were involved on the Federal Reserve and central banking level and Tier 1 banks, such as HSBC and Wells Fargo and the larger banks. And others didn't get involved in financial matters at all, and they participated on the political sector, say. So everybody kind of had their little sector that they worked in, and this was part of compartmentalization of humans, so no one would really figure out what they were doing, and no one had all the information or the entire plan, which has become quite evident. So for some reason, they really thought they had this. They told them they needed more time. By now, things were getting very heated. We had a lot of people around here in town at meetings, and they started to talk amongst themselves. People are starting to realize more and more on the next level down that they've been lied to. Allegedly, they gave them until midnight on the 4th, which would have been last night, U.S. Eastern Standard Time, to perform. Did they perform? No. Did they show up for the calls today? Yes, they did. Now, earlier this morning in their meeting that they have at 5 a.m., so the higher level meetings usually take place around 5 a.m. Mountain Time, 4 a.m. Eastern Time on the daily. And they were discussing ways to postpone everybody to the 15th of March. Reason why the 15th of March is because there's supposed to be a partial eclipse, blood moon, and they really like that sort of thing, and they think that helpful aliens that are dark and evil will come flying out of the moon at this time. Kind of like those stories we hear around Halloween about witches on a broom flying around. I don't know. I'm just making a joke. And so they believe that this is going to be the time. If it doesn't happen then it will happen sometime towards the end of March when there is some other kind of moon or something or other. I don't know. Alignment, maybe. Who knows? But they think that with one of these two alignments, because this other thing didn't work out so well, that they were going to have some luck in activating or reactivating these grids, which would then power some AI that would be helpful to them. Yeah, that would be a no. Now, someone might have leaked out the information that this was the talk of what was happening in the meetings on the higher level, and this made other people very angry. Now, I can only assume, because it wasn't me, it must have been the Trump operatives that leaked this information out to everybody. So this made them really angry. Well, word got back to the Trump operatives / Rothschild family people that everybody was getting really angry, and there was no way they could play the tomorrow game some more all the way to the 15th of March. So they got on the phone and they said, watch this. Just watch what happens today. And hung up the phone. So pretty much the world meeting that was scheduled for today with all of the operatives, meaning banking operatives, political operatives, and otherwise, the people that really work behind the scenes to make the world go round, or at least the way it used to, still continued their meetings today anyway, because they were supposed to make some decisions by midnight last night. Now, there appears to be more research being done into what they're being told and just who is actually doing what in this world and where do we fit in. Now, of course, we over here don't do anything at all. You know, we just sit and watch the Trump operatives do everything and, just make mention of it on here for, just kidding. Since they want to take credit for everything, we'll also give them credit for some other things that happened too. So anyway, we might have leaked out that information. It did Even the Just Watch Us didn't go over well. Nobody's watching anything. And what actually took place today was more of kind of a mess. So to some degree, there was a little bit of let's just say space junk and, things that Marduk gifted us from beyond the grave and some others that have gone and departed, such as Michael and a few others. I'd left a few things that may have appeared to these folks that there was, after the silence in the heavens, so to speak, that there was going to be an apocalypse just like they had hoped, or a war here, or I don't know what they were expecting. But they went full bore today. They were trying to reach out to other space junk and other densities. They had the NSA going full on. By the way, the NSA and the ACIO are the only people that are really still following what they say. Everybody else is kind of on the fence. But they are still following along with the bouncing ball. And unfortunately for the NSA, when I say NSA, I'm not just talking about United States. Yeah, there was Utah was involved, and Maryland was involved, and, Norfolk was involved, and a few other locations around the country here, Louisiana. But the NSA is worldwide. So you could say all the way from Utah all the way into Australia and UK and Russia. Believe it or not, there's an NSA in Russia too. I know it doesn't sound like there would be one, but there is. You also have some black sites throughout the Ukraine. So again, these people are everywhere, all over the Middle East. Well, unfortunately, there was a few things that happened. So, a lot of hacking later and, some attempts to get into these grids and really do some people some harm today. It didn't end real well for them. So there was someone, it must be the Trump operatives, because the Trump operatives do everything. Well, duh. So the Trump operatives must have went ahead and fired up something in the reverse. It was really strange because it wasn't me. So the Trump operatives went ahead and fired up something that actually torched and unfortunately killed a lot of NSA people today around the world. They told them to do it, and then they torched every facility they went into. Wasn't me. So they can get credit for that one too. So isn't equinox time fun? Definitely not. Other places where there was attempted time manipulation was in Jakarta. Jakarta is, if you don't know, was kind of a off-world human trafficking center of the world. It is also known as one of the world's largest, where there's a lot of the population of the area and where people go that are very interested in black magic. There is a lot of black magic that happens in Jakarta. And underneath a particular temple, I didn't write it down, I should have, but underneath a very large temple in Jakarta, you can't miss it, it's one of the largest ones there. There was an old facility with a little bit of space junk that was used to manipulate time. And they figured that would work as of today. Did it cause a little bit of a disturbance? Sure it did. Did they get anywhere with it? No. However, the Trump operatives must have attacked this site in this underground facility because nobody made it out of there alive. They heard us talking about it on the phone, and then they were going to try to escape, but it didn't, we got there too fast. But apparently they were attacked by the Trump operatives, and they killed everybody in the facility. It's unfortunate, and it definitely wasn't me. Okay, so there was a lot more that was happening, over the last few days. I'm going to say there was a few disturbances. I wouldn't consider them major or apocalyptic hype events. We did have that stoppage of time in the quote unquote heavens or in the ninth density for about an hour in Earth time, which did give us an opportunity to do a few things there, which are making their way here. There is going to be a larger presence and almost a replica of a source here on Earth, which is now spreading. Over time, that should prevent any utilization of any grid or the existence of any grids. Hopefully in the very near future. We did find a few other interesting things I would like to mention. As part of the real history, which I still haven't finished and I need to do, you might have heard of a little planet called Tiamat. Now, Tiamat was a little larger than Earth. However, it looked just like Earth in a lot of ways. It was also a keystone for a time. Therefore, during a part of the wars that took place in this sector of the universe, Tiamat actually got, let's just say, shoved down into the first density of the lower astral, where it has been for quite a long time. It was transmuted into a dark keystone. We do see some remnants of that rubble, so to speak, in what we call our Kuiper Belt and Van Allen Belt and our asteroid belt. However, the actual, well, maybe even a synthetic version of that planet existed there. And they utilized some of these grids, let's just say, that were made by others, not humans. In some cases, you could say the Abraxas and Marduk and a few other folks, to connect the dark or synthetic planet to Earth, to give us kind of an overlay of dark grids based on a transmuted dark keystone planet. And we have been connected to that planet, or synthetic planet, for quite a long time now. Probably at least almost 3 billion years. And so they somehow hoped that this was going to activate something today and cause a lot of problems in an apocalyptic type event. I'm not really sure. They talked about wiping out all the humans off the map today. So for all of you that were sitting back and just waiting to get paid, you were never going to get paid. You were going to be wiped off this planet if they had their way. But thank God that, there was a lot of glitches to that, and we used this as an opportunity to catapult a few things forward. On the regular work front, today we spent a lot of time doing test transfers of funds. That's one thing that the Trump operatives didn't do. And so we've been working our way through getting some deposits through. So going well, not going bad. It helps us find a few traps and things that others laid. It had nothing to do with the humans blocking us. Again, it's just a lot of cleanup, and some people had way too much time on their hands, or non-people. Okay, just as a part of a few things that we're doing here at UNN2, I wanted to make a mention that this month's live GIA report is going to be on Monday, March 10th. We didn't make it for the first week of the month when we usually do it, simply because it's been so busy around here. So Monday, March 10th, I think we're going to do it at the same time, around 6 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to do this one a little different. We are going to do the first half in the live report on our YouTube, Rumble, X, and I think that's, and of course our app as well. But we're going to do the question and answer on the app. it just makes it a little easier for us. We can start to pull some questions, hopefully in real time. It'll make it easier for me to answer questions. And yeah, and hopefully we will have no interference as we did last time, and we'll be on time. So I'm looking forward to doing another live report. So if you'd like to ask questions or listen to the question and answer, that'll be on the app this time, the second hour. The first hour will be live on all our social media. So looking forward to that. A few other things going on. Marketplace is going really well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we should have that up and running, at least for beta testing, by the end of the month. So if you were a sponsor last year this time during our transition, then you can keep an eye out for an email from our marketplace staff inviting you to start testing and loading products and giving us your feedback if you felt that anything needed to be changed. We have been working diligently on appointment booking and event booking. So if you are a person that does online classes, you'll be able to do that. Or even local services like massage therapy or hairdressing or things like that. You can book that on the marketplace and advertise on there your services. Things can be broken down by country and city on the app, so you'll know if you're looking for example, a personal trainer in your area or someone that does online classes. You can find that on the marketplace too. So it's going to be a lot different than current marketplaces you see out there. We also are putting together our marketing features. We're going to start testing that with our current shop that we have, and the essential oils and that kind of thing. So hopefully you'll be getting some interesting emails from us in the near future should you go on the shop. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've been testing out some marketing for your products too on social media advertising. Making some commercials, that type of thing, so that we can help all of you out and get your wonderful creations out there. So, yeah, it's going to be a different sort of place, and it's going to be focused on you and the things that you are looking for. We're going to introduce you to new technologies, new products, and we're going to help you out along the way. So I'm kind of excited about that. And it's not going to cost you ridiculous amounts of money like some of the other places that make it really hard to get your e-commerce business going. So on that note, we are definitely moving forward in many aspects on our side. We're not waiting for any of these meetings to be over anymore. I can't stress enough how it would be interesting if these people came forward, but honestly, one thing that I'd like to also point out to you, in case you didn't know, is banks. Let's talk about banks for a second. So, we all know that there's boards of the banks, and you've seen some of the CEOs talking, but honestly, these people have no idea how to run a bank in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, you're supposed to have certain credentials in order to be named what's called a responsible party for an institution of that size. And for the rest of the smaller banks, they have to have that. But for the larger ones, typically that's always been like the genetic shareholders. But of course, no one ever is going to hold them accountable, when the banks go down. But a lot of these people, I'm not really sure we want to talk to these people. I'm not sure that they're capable of pulling a bank out of the state it's in. I know that they're always waiting for information from someone else. Now, typically that someone else is, operatives. That's sometimes where the information comes from. On the flip side of it, they were orders that came down. So you kind of got this middle management situation happening, even within the political operatives and the secret space program and the Rothschilds, they would be considered lower level to middle management as well. And nobody seems to know what they're doing. Yet everybody is waiting for them to do something. It's kind of funny, really, for me, and then unfortunately, you've got the people that are capable of actually doing something, waiting for the people that aren't sure what they're doing and are doing nothing. And it just seems like a giant circle over there. Are they going to actually break the cycle? Are they going to figure out that there are doers in this world and there are talkers in this world? I don't know. There's a lot of talk, and there's always been talk about, the second she gets it done, she being me in this case, gets it done, then, now we'll all sit down and talk and all of that. And that's fine. It just reminds me of that childhood, one of these stories, I guess it's a story, fairy tale, whatever you want to call it, about the little red hen. Little red hen is looking for people to help him plant seeds and grow wheat and bake bread. And of course, nobody wants to help. And then all of a sudden the bread is baked and everybody comes running. So yeah, that's what I'm going to probably end up seeing here too. I don't know. We'll see. At this point, we have a lot of doers in our group, even a lot of doers that watch this. And you are doing every day. And I see it out there, and I see what you're doing. And you're making some positive changes in this world. And I think that's great. And I thank you for that. And I know we here at UNN make a lot of positive changes in this world too. And of course, all our field messengers are doing it. We're getting the job done. We're growing. This is the year of expansion for UNN, and we are going to do a lot more advertising, a lot more to get the word out there to everyone, a lot more to get your field messenger reports out, because I think that they're really important too. I've learned a lot from your field messenger reports, and I think they're amazing. So looking forward to seeing more of that. And on that note, that's pretty much what we have to say. That's kind of like a recap of the weekend. It was very busy and very long for the last few days. So on that note, I will see you on Friday. And, are they going to move? Are they not going to move? Are they going to stay still? Are they going to wait for, another call from these crazy people? I don't know. One thing I know for sure is if you are listening to this and you were told to watch what happens today, the answer to the question is, I'll wrap it up for you, nothing. On that note, have a wonderful night, and I will see you in a couple days.